As we begin the third hour of Three-Man Front on this Thursday, we're just a couple days away from week 0 being kicked off. And, of course, half the state of Alabama is getting ready for what's going to happen 9 days from now in Tallahassee, Florida, at refurbished Doak Campbell Stadium as the Alabama Crimson Tide will go on the road as Kalen DeBoer. Big game on the road, and, of course, a big game for Florida State as well after coming off a 2-win season last year. And joining us now on the Higginbotham Hotline to preview the upcoming season for the Florida State Seminoles and a brief look at next week's game as Alabama will head south is Jeff Culhane, who is the voice of the Florida State Seminoles. He joins us now on Three-Man Front. Jeff, I hope you're doing well. Hope things are well down in the Panhandle.
I am doing fantastic. It is great to be on with you guys and great to be on in Birmingham, obviously a college football crazy town. And I think we're all ready to go. Let's tee it up this Saturday, guys. We make that happen. I'm ready.
No, listen, I promise you we're ready. We do a countdown clock every day, and we started that thing about 150 days. So, yeah, we are ready to go. Before we start talking about this year's team, I'm just curious because – from a group of folks that we love college football, and we follow ACC football not as closely as the Southeastern Conference. But if you look back to 2024, is there anything in particular that you could highlight, a couple of areas in which you thought that was the reason why Florida State witnessed a season that they had never seen before in school history?
Oh, yeah, that wasn't a whole lot of fun, guys. That was a fall, to say the least, especially coming off of a 13-win season and winning at one point 19 games in a row from 22 into 23. And, I just think there was a perfect storm that came together all at once to create what turned out to be just one of the worst seasons in program history. And there was a lot of talent on that 2023 team, obviously. You lose 10 draft picks and 2 other guys that got free agent deals, and Florida State just was unable to replace those guys. And then you couple in, I think, some shortcomings in high school recruiting with that class who were seniors, a lot of injuries, playing game 1 in Dublin across the pond and being shocked by Georgia Tech. And it was a group that didn't have bad kids or bad young men, but you didn't have an alpha in that room, unfortunately. And when things got going sideways, that snowball just kept rolling downhill, and this team couldn't stop it. And so it was really a perfect storm, Pat, of just a lot of shortcomings all hitting at one time, and it just was something they could not get back under control, unfortunately.
And Jeff, changes in the offseason because of that 2-10 season from a year ago, especially with the coaching staff, not to mention the roster, but sticking with the coaching staff. Gus Malzahn leaving his post as the head man at UCF. We are very familiar, of course, here in this state, of covering him when he was the head man at Auburn.
Oh, yeah.
Why did Coach Norvell choose to tap Gus Malzahn, and what does he bring to this offense, specifically with the personnel that it has in it?
Yeah, well, as you guys know, I mean, when you think of Gus, you think of offense, and you think of wizardry, and you think of creativity and putting guys in spots to succeed and utilizing the talent that he has in creative ways. And, Gus even said, he said, look, I was really not interested in being a head coach anymore. And he was talking about either retiring or doing this. And so when Mike Norvell called him and discussed with him the opportunity to be at Florida State, the pros outweighed, the cons in his mind. And, those two go way back. Those guys worked together back in 2007, 2008 at Tulsa when Mike got his first full-time head coaching job at Tulsa. I was on staff with Gus and Herb Hand as well, who now is Florida State's offensive line coach, joining Mike Norvell and Gus coming up from UCF also. So, I think when you think of Gus, you think of the creativity, you think of the excitement. Obviously, he wants to run the football. He wants to be able to get the quarterback mixed in the run game as well. Enter in Tommy Castellanos, who was at UCF for a season with Gus a few years ago when he began his college career. And I'm excited to see that storyline play out throughout the season. When Gus Malzahn has been able just to focus on offense only, he's done some really impressive things. And I think that is obviously a huge storyline to keep an eye on for this game versus Alabama. but as this team and the personnel become more gelled together as the season moves along as well.
Jeff Culhane joins us here on the program. He is the voice of the Florida State Seminoles getting ready for the opening game against the Alabama Crimson Tide coming up a week from Saturday. Let's stay on the coordinator conversation for a moment because last year Florida State was 13th in the ACC in total defense. So Mike Norvell, what does he do? He goes out and he hires Tony White from Nebraska. Nebraska had a really top-notch defense last year. What are you hearing on that side of the ball through fall camp in regards to what Tony White has been able to bring to the table?
Well, Tony White has brought a high level of expectations, and I think it may, to a certain degree, it's been the shock to the system for some of the returning guys. And he has been unapologetic in speaking publicly about where his group has been at. He's been quite honest, early on in camp, not liking what he has seen or has asked for as far as effort and as far as, what needs to be done on a day-by-day basis. And I think you've seen some guys really emerge. Some other guys have had a tough time handling that. And Tony White has brought a new energy and a new attitude to this group defensively overall. And, he's a disciple of Rocky Long. He played for Rocky Long at UCLA in the early 2000s. Coach Long gave him his first full-time head coaching position collegiately as well. And so he's a disciple of that unique look, that 3-3-5 look. And so he's going to try and keep opposing offenses on their heels, guys. He's going to show different things. He's going to try and bring pressure from different areas. I think he really feels like he's got a tremendous secondary here at Florida State with the speed and athleticism that group has. And so he's going to do what he can to put the pressure and put opposing offenses in tough situations from a down and distance standpoint. And so it's going to be fun to follow. Adam Fuller was a four-man front kind of guy, did not bring a whole lot of pressure. And so this will be a unique look for Florida State fans in the Mike Norvell era on the defensive side of the ball.
What is the expectation for quarterback and transfer quarterback Tommy Castellanos in this Gus Malzahn offense, and how has the Florida State fan base received his comments publicly when talking about the first opponent, the Alabama Crimson Tide?
I think the expectation is for him to go out and be great, quite honestly. I mean, Florida State's a place where, even though the season a year ago was not successful by any means, it's a fan base that has high expectations. They expect to be in the national picture. They expect to compete with Alabama and with all the great programs in college football. And so the quarterback spot here is going to get the scrutiny that it does at every other blue blood in college football. And so he's here. He's got one opportunity. He's got a one season under Gus and Mike Norvell. And I tell you what, he truly has embraced that opportunity. And you're right, he did have the comments in late June about going up against Bama. He walked those back to a certain degree in what he was attempting to say at the ACC kickoff. But I thought he did a nice job in discussing it after the fact and say, look, I'm just trying to instill some confidence into my guys. This group won 2 games a year ago, and we need to go out and we have to play confidently because we know we're going to have to beat some great teams if we're going to have a shot to be a team in the college football playoff here this season. So, he's embraced the opportunity. His teammates have really rallied behind him. And from a fan base perspective, after a season ago where we didn't really hear a lot from the quarterback position the entire year, it certainly was a different feel, but I think the Florida State fan base likes his confidence, and they're excited to see what he can do as a dual-threat quarterback in this offense.
Jeff Culhane joins us, the voice of the Florida State Seminoles here on Three Man Front. Many rosters nowadays, it's a turnover all the time. It churns almost on a yearly basis now because of the transfer portal. Last year, it was certainly something that Florida State, they dipped heavily in. And to be honest, those transfer portal additions did not pan out. In regards to what is on the roster this year, do they feel more confident around the team that they're going to be able to get a few more hits than misses on this year's roster additions?
Well, that's the hope, obviously, and 49 new players on this roster. I mean, you look at every level, and it's doused in newcomers, the offensive line, the quarterback. There's newcomers at running back, wide receiver, tight end, the defensive line, linebackers. the secondary is an area where you do have a higher majority of returners, but Jeremiah Wilson, the Houston transfer who was with Tony White at Syracuse, has emerged as one of the vocal leaders, even though he got here after spring football in the secondary room at a cornerback spot. So, yeah, it's a team that is definitely going to have to rely on that. They're going to have to rely on these newcomers. And Mike Norvell has mentioned that in the offseason, this group has done a fantastic job of getting together on their own. The coaching staff did not have to force these guys to connect and spend as much time together and hang out. And I think that is an example of the veteran leadership that they brought in, the talent and experience that they brought in. And so it's a group that has a lot of questions. We're all going to find out together in a lot of ways versus Bama on the 30th. But I know the coaching staff has liked so far how this team has been able to connect and build some chemistry during fall camp.
So whether they win or lose against Alabama, does an outcome, let's say a win, does that change your personal outlook of what this team can do ceiling-wise this year? Or whether they win or lose, it's pretty much cemented in regards to maybe where you feel like this team is capable of for 2025?
Oh, I think the first game is a huge measuring stick. I mean, it's hard to be able to answer that question right now, really, with any sort of feel, This is a team that has not really the first time we're going to see them, guys, is August 30th. And, yeah, if they beat Alabama and look great doing it, and I know nobody believes that's going to happen, but if it does, then all of a sudden, sure, you have to recalibrate some things a little bit. And, even if Florida State does not beat Alabama, I think there is an opportunity with Florida State's schedule in the ACC to make their way to Charlotte and play for a conference championship and have a shot in a one-off to get into the college football playoff by winning the ACC title. Look, don't forget, and I know Clemson is a team that is a great program, and obviously Dabo has done great things, but Clemson wasn't getting into the ACC championship game last year until Syracuse upset Miami the last week of the regular season. So that's a squad as well that has had great success, don't get me wrong, but that was a team that benefited from the conference championship game and being able to make their way in and get some help and winning in Charlotte. I think Florida State's schedule, regardless of this game, lends itself to the chance to get there if they can stay healthy and beat the teams they're supposed to beat on their schedule.
That is Jeff Culhane. You can hear his voice a week from Saturday as he is the voice of the Florida State Seminoles as Alabama will come calling in week number 1. Jeff, we appreciate you spending some time with us today. We're looking forward to the game next Saturday and hope you'll come back as the season progresses.
Great to talk to you guys. Thanks for having me. We'll have a good one.
Thanks, you. Appreciate it very much. That is Jeff Culhane. He is the voice of the Florida State Seminoles. Joined us on the Higginbotham Hotline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services.
It's so warm outside. Summer's still here in the deep south. That means our friends at Stark Exterminators, they are busy. Let them be busy in your yard, your place of business. The stinging insects, the biting kind that you want to prevent when you're out there trying to have fun, maybe watch a game outside, grilling outside, entertaining while the weather's still nice. Well, they can come to your home, your place of business, and give you the free home or business pest inspection, absolutely free. 855-STARK now, or go to starkexterminators.com. It's a company that's been family-owned for over 61 years, and they're going to use the most environmentally safe and effective solutions available. That's good news for you. That's good news for your family, and that includes your pets. Stark Exterminators. Call them today for the free home or business pest inspection, 855-STARK now, or go to starkexterminators.com. We continue here on Three Man Front. We just heard from the play-by-play voice of the Florida State Seminoles, the Southern Gentleman, momentarily.